So yeah, we live. All right. What's up, y'all? How everybody doing today?
What's good? What's good?
Hectic, freaking, getting everything organized today. He had to get
Things happen. It happens.
He had to rush my man Ryan in here on an emergency, but
long day. He had a long day himself.
Siren zone.
So we recorded last night, right? And it was me, Reggie, Dwayne was here, and Fonzo was here. And I got up this morning around 7 o'clock. Yeah, 7 o'clock. Because what time we got done last night?
I don't know.
Mike, what time we leave? 1 o'clock. So we got done at 1 a.m.
Yeah.
Went to bed around maybe 1:30.
I was home by 1, I think.
You were home by 1.
Yeah.
Yeah. So whatever. Got up in the morning, went and coached these kids for 6 hours. Ran around the kids. So, went home around. Got home around 3. Took a freaking nap, and then went in, scooped up Mike and Quan, and got some POPO.
Shouts out to
PO. Hey, they get shouted out.
If you live in Charlotte, you know exactly. You should know where POPO is.
Everybody don't eat Spanish food like that. Peruvian food. I mean,
but yeah, man. So good. So appreciate everybody listening. This is the Cavalier Convos podcast. This is your host Jay David, aka Johnathan Edwards, whatever you want to call me. We got my brother Dwayne. We got Ryan in the building.
What's good?
Already. Thank y'all. Appreciate y'all for being here. How y'all doing, fellas?
I'm doing good. I ain't got no complaints.
Yeah, man, you looking good. I like the hat, man.
The
scarf.
Hey, I ain't got the tie on today, Hey, I change it up a little bit, I'm a little bit.
Brim. I see.
Yeah, I wish I had my cigar,
Y'all can't even see the
just
loafers.
for
The loafers
look.
on.
For the look.
Yeah, y'all can't even see the loafers Dwayne got on. So yeah,
a little different, something just a little different,
Good, man. Ryan, how you doing, brother?
Tired, brother.
Tired? Yeah. You had a busy day today?
Yeah, busy day, busy week.
Yeah, man.
It's all good.
Good, wonderful. So, what we're going to talk about today? Well, we're going to talk about a few things today. Like, the idea.
Talk about life.
Yeah, we're talking about life. Yeah. And, we tried to, kind of give, I don't know, just anecdotal stuff or solutionary stuff or just try to get people to think in a different perspective. But, I was watching, I don't think you guys have seen it, documentary or, docu-series on Netflix called Inventing Anna, right? It's about a girl who basically kind of faked it till she made it in regards to the social media thing, and
that's everyday life.
Yeah, there's people. There's plenty of examples of it, right? But this is probably one of the most kind of famous cases. But you hear about stuff like Firefest. Y'all remember that?
Yeah, no doubt.
And the idea of just social media influencers or influencing. Gone ballistic, right? So you have people, and everybody is a brand. If you got an IG account at this point, right, you're pretty much a brand at this point. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, somewhat. In some way, you are branding yourself, especially you always put stuff out there, taking pictures. Just, no matter what you're doing, you kind of putting a brand out there for yourself. Because I always tell people, especially young guys or young athletes, that anytime you take a picture, you branding yourself. Anytime you put stuff on social media, you showing who you are. They always could trace that back. So that's what I always tell you branding yourself. So be careful what you put out there.
Yeah. So I tell guys this all the time. I tell people this all the time. Is that everybody, in a sense, is a brand. If you are doing the social media thing, whether it's Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, right? Because, people, whether you're trying to sell something or whether you're trying to sell yourself or whether you're trying to impress people, you are promoting an image online. Mm-hmm. And I think that, the way society is, and a lot of things kind of tie into this because you have, different cultures within social media culture, right? You have, the social justice aspect of it, right, where in a lot of cases, you see people running to defend certain causes or certain people for social justice reasons, even if the person at the end of the day ends up actually being wrong, just because, so people are so quick, even with the news, just being, with the 24-hour news cycle, and people so quick to just put out information so fast that
everybody want to get that top story.
Yeah, but it may not be something that's true, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Recently, what's the guy? What's the boy from Empire? Juicy.
Oh.
Juicy Smollett.
Oh, you talking about
you
talking about that incident? Yeah.
But you know how many people like literally ran to like his defense and stuff like that because of the triggering aspects of the story: MAGA hats, ropes, nooses, black guy, LGBT, all these type of different things that people are heavily triggered by or advocates for.
Yeah, because everybody jumped out before they got the whole story.
Yeah.
Well, there's that, and there's also people are hyper aware of the opportunity to seize their 15 minutes.
Yes.
For him, although he had plenty of fame already and probably should have capitalized on what he had, he wanted more, right? So you get
attention,
thirsty, you get hungry, and sometimes you get greedy for that attention.
Yeah,
and you find yourself in that position where you're seeking out the best opportunity for you to latch on to something that's going to carry you further than where you were at before.
And a lot of times it backfire.
Yeah, even thing like I had to learn that even in certain situations, like you have to be slow to even comment on certain situations. Any instance, like you have to wait and observe and get the facts because, like, people, once again, even in the 15-minute fame aspect, like, you tweet something about a particular subject that's going on right away and give an immediate reaction without getting, the full information. You're capitalizing on trying to get attention based on the attention that particular topic or issue is.
Certainly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I guess what I want to talk about, because, that was one of, but I was like, how important is like image? Like how important is like your image that you promote on a day to day? Like how important is that for you specifically? You guys, own your own business. You guys, do a lot of different things. You have families. You have, different endeavors that you guys are involved in. How important is your image, Ryan, Dwayne, on your day to day and in the image you promote to people?
Well, I could say this. My image, it reflects, especially when it goes towards my kids. They are getting grown. So whatever I put out, it reflects them too. So I can't be doing certain things. I can't put negativity out there and expect them to teach them to do positive things, and they see me out there doing something negative. So my image, I don't want to seem like, wait a minute, how you going to tell me to do something when you're out here doing this and it's all posted on social media or whatever, but you're trying to explain to me how to do something about life. So your image, especially when it comes to your kids, that's what I'm going to look at. I'm not worried about everybody else right now, but I have kids that I have an image that I have to give. Not saying I got to uphold, right. You know what I'm saying? Like I got to uphold, like I'm just this Broly, man. You know what I'm saying? It just, I can't produce negativity when I'm trying to teach them to do certain things in life positive.
So there's certain things you don't let your kids see, not just, I'm not talking about social media, just in life in general.
In general. You don't want to, you know what I'm saying? We as adults, we like to have fun. We still want to have fun sometimes. But at the same time, we got to realize, hey, when I go home, I don't need them to see me a certain way. You turn that off. Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
You can't be talking about just anything around.
Yeah, so I look at it, my image is more directed towards my family, my kids. Now in the world might see me as, oh, he's this type of person, he that type of person. I don't care. As long as I know my kids understand what's going on, the positive side. But they understand my struggle too. Older they get, they probably understand some of the struggle parts too. So they can't say, you always been this type of person. Y'all don't understand that. It's been a struggle sometimes. It ain't always been ice cream and cake. Right. But that's some teaching I learned from my folks also, because my mom, she said, a lot of things y'all didn't know that was going on. But in the back of our head, we thinking everything is all.
I remember, like, certain things going on in my family, like growing up as a kid, like I didn't really understand or knew everything that was going on.
Yeah.
Obviously, the adults knew.
Yeah.
And then now I know what was what.
Yeah, but that's that image, though. That's the same thing. Like you say, you have an image, you giving your kids an image, you know what I'm saying? But that's not negative, but all they seeing is positive side. I'm not saying every parent was like that, but I can speak from my experience. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's at least in my generation, I'm a little bit older, in my generation, there was an expectation that what the kids saw from the perspective of what their perception was on the experiences that their parents and other adults were having was very, very rarely in alignment with what reality was. Right? Protect the environment of the kid. Mm-hmm. Now, with regards to image is one of those trigger words for me, and I didn't prepare to answer that question. I didn't know you were going to ask that question. So I might get some of it wrong, but when you talk about image, the way that I always define it is I had a short-term, but a mentor of mine who was at one point in time was one of the few highest-ranking black men at Wachovia, which became Wells Fargo. And he, in his office one day, he says to me, "Have you ever heard of the pie model?" And I said, "No, I never heard of the pie model." What are you talking about? Like, I know what a pie chart looks like.
Yeah.
What is this pie model?
What pie model are you talking about?
I think
sweet potato pie. What are we talking about? So he says the pie model. He said, so you're in my office because your leaders think that you are a high performer and think that you have a high ceiling. Do you think that's good enough? And I'm thinking, well, as long as I perform, then theoretically I'm going to be good enough. And he said, so the pie model was introduced. I want to say the gentleman's name was Harvey Coleman. He was one of the early black execs at IBM, and he introduced this model called the pie model. And the notion of the pie model was that you had 3 slices to the pie of your overall success. And those 3 slices were your performance, your image, again, trigger word, image, your performance, your image, and your exposure, meaning how many people were exposed to what you brought forward. And I said, okay, say more. And he said, the reality is we oftentimes think that we can perform our way to success. Mm. The pie model, again, I might get the numbers wrong. The pie model basically said 10% of your success was associated with your performance. Mm. But the other 90% was associated in balance between your image and your exposure, meaning not only what you put forth as your image, meaning what you were capable of doing and the person that you are, but then the way that other people saw it and the eyes that saw it from an exposure standpoint. So you start to think about it that way, like you start to look at all the people that you've seen be successful, especially when you meet. Have you ever met somebody that the world holds up as being ultra successful? Yeah. And then you chat with him and you're like, yo, he's just down to earth, and he might not be as smart as I thought he was. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
But he just knew how to play the game.
Well, in that case,
image, like you said,
performance was only 10% of his or her success. His image and her exposure are what actually contributed to them getting on level. Mm-hmm. So nonetheless, when you say image, like, is it important for everybody to think about their image? I think it's critical to think about your image. The question is, in what environment are you thinking about your image? Because I think the other thing is, my image here, sitting here, chilling with y'all, having a good conversation, is different than my image when I go to church tomorrow morning, which is different than my image when I go to work on Monday morning. True. So you're playing all these image cards anyway, but there's also this notion of, it's not just about your image. Who can you get your image in front of? Yeah. That may have an affinity to what you bring. You know?
So what you're saying, So right, So that's a good point you brought up. So like,
that makes sense.
It's part of it too as well. Like, and it's the thing. Like, a lot of people fake it till they make it in regards to putting themselves in position to where you have to kind of oversell to get yourself in front of the individuals that you need to get in front of.
Or you may have to bust more. You have to bust your tail more. You may be busting your tail less on performing and more on positioning yourself in a place where people can see.
Yeah, I get that. That makes sense. Yeah,
it's more about promoting your capabilities and less about promoting what you have done. You know what I'm saying?
So basically, people see I see what you're saying. So people see your character. They like, he's a good person. He or she is a good person. They see how you are with the office. If you're in a big office, they see how everybody just draw to you. And it might not be like you say, you might not be the top performer, but they see how everybody draw to you. You know what I'm saying? And you got
how you in the right position with the right support.
Yes,
could be a performer that now, then all of a sudden your exposure and your image have created an opportunity for you to perform.
Yeah,
I'll use my life as an example real quick, because like what you said made me think about something, right? Because like, y'all know I coach basketball, and you know my background as far as coaching. Like it's a very, it's above average as far as like competitive level, right, or experience level than your average high school coach probably in this area, right? But I'm also not from here, right? So when I first moved out here, getting into coaching and things like that, it wasn't necessarily like an easy thing because nobody knew me. Even though I had a lot of experience, I had probably more credentials than most people, right? Not bragging, just the truth, right? I had a extensive resume, but at the same time, like I had to get people to learn about me just by being around me.
Right.
Yeah.
I had to they had to get exposed to me. They had to see me working. They had to see me. I had to do some stuff for free. I had to do some stuff, just introduce myself to people because like I was in a different place. I was in a different part. I was in a different area.
Once you expose yourself, then
then once I expose,
image, and then they research you, and they're like,
it adds up. You know what I'm saying?
JD got it going on.
Yeah. So that's
the real deal.
Yeah. So that's a good point that you make because I like that joint kind of clicked the light bulb for me when you said it because because even yesterday we were talking about like the topic was what are the characteristics of a competent black man. And part of it was the production aspect, like being a producer and things like that was very, very important. And your productivity, right? But also like to what you're saying, like your performance, your production is great, but you also have to put yourself in positions. Yeah, your production will get you in front of certain people, but at the same time, like if you're really focused on just working and things like that. Yeah, cut it. Yeah, cut it, yo. Cut it. Cut the audio. Cut the audio, Quan. We can start over, bro. It's not a big deal.
Cool. You cut the audio? Oh,
sure?
Damn, my bad. You need me to help you get up?
You want to cut the audio? No.
Oh, you just going to cut that part out? Oh, okay.
All
just
right.
keep going.
Yeah, because that...
Keep the party going.
Keep the party going.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell's in there.
Things it happens sometimes. We was all good for a minute, then all of a sudden,
Yeah, I was like, I heard it, but I was like, well, maybe.
Then all of a sudden, I'm like, that might not get it.
Then it was
well, we just cut that part out. Well, I don't know where you finished it. I don't know how you gonna
bring that back.
Rewind. Like we used to do it, like they used to do it on Poetry Slam or at Rewind. You had to go rewind it back. So he can't remember.
So I guess we go back into it. All right, we good now? Mike, matter of fact, can you go over there and put the headphones on? Yeah.
Go ahead and take your food with you, man.
So
man, Mike the smallest person, but he eat a whole lot of food.
He eat more food than me.
I know he the smallest person, but he eat a lot of food.
You good? Everything good? All right, dope. So as far as like, the thing is like putting yourself in a position. Sometimes like you could work so much to where you don't really focus on expanding or growing or getting better. So just the idea of just like, all right, well, I'm just gonna work, and if as long as I work hard, that's going to be the reason why I'm successful. And
work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's a good point that you made, brother.
Well, and different generations have seen it differently as well, right? Like certain generations, it was all about production, especially if they were depending on, they had the high-paying jobs that were working at XYZ corporate.
Yeah, steel mill, all that. Yeah,
that's right, steel mill, working in the wherever. You know what I'm saying? Like, the reality was those were the positions that they wanted, that everybody wanted. But those positions were 100% dependent upon them being able to be high producers.
Yes.
Right, but also their growth, their
growth potential.
Not just the growth potential, but the needs that they had that they were trying to fulfill weren't dependent upon producing.
We missed some good points over there.
Now, Mike.
Yeah, you're good.
Missing some good points over there.
Now you can hear it okay? All right, good.
Sip.
All right. Go ahead. Yo, man. Can we gonna be good with that? You gonna be able to cut it, right? Yeah. All right, smooth. All right.
Sometimes you gonna have the little loops and
it's
you know
cool.
what I'm saying?
Like, I'm fine. But all right, so smooth. So
That's a blooper reel.
Yeah, I lost my train of thought too.
No, Mike, Ryan was talking.
You did lose it.
So what is
especially
that
on that dry
drinking,
kick,
yo? What's that?
This is it's a commercial, right?
Yeah, you can blur that out. All right, good.
So this is a
caramel bomb.
It's mocha caramel bomb. It was a Cabarrus County Select bottle from Maker's Mark.
Okay. Because at first I looked at it, I said, "Dang, that's."
It's always bringing in something, but
barrel select.
Can you bring it in?
Well, I ain't bringing in the bottle because I wanted to sit on the table, so I ain't got to worry about moving the bottle. You know what I'm saying? So now, hey. I just pour it in my glass, hey, it is what it is,
Yeah, I used to.
That's all right. One day they're gonna sponsor Cavalier Convos.
Hey, we might get a sponsor one day, and then boom, we sit it right there in the middle of the table.
Y'all can drink that because I can't drink that.
We might find a wine sponsor or something like that too.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Hey, you never know.
Yeah, if they get a wine, we get a wine sponsor. Yeah, we get straight, man.
Hey.
But because I don't need to be comatose drinking that hard liquor. But another thing, in regards to the image thing, right? Because we were talking last night about attire, right? Your suits and things like that, and just kind of the idea as far as how for me, I was and my wife would tell y'all hoodies, mad hoodies, 100 hoodies, and part of it was I'm 33 now, and the thing is wearing suits and stuff like that. It wasn't I didn't think it was a cool thing. I just thought it's kind of a scary thing. It was weird because one, I'm tall, very tall, long arms.
As Reggie would say, 6'12".
Yeah, all that stuff, right? So the thing was I ain't gonna find nothing that fits me. How much this stuff costs? Da 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 da. And I would say that part of the change in regards to wanting to wear more of that was just the image aspect. Is when I go outside, especially as a black man, I don't want to not necessarily attract attention, but I want when people see me to say who's that guy there? You know what I'm saying? Not because of anything else, just the side of
it's
the
your
way
image.
You're
they see you.
Carrying yourself, it is important. It's not it's not that it's not important. A lot of kids that I talk to, because for a living I help kids in regards to get recruited and stuff like that, and I tell them, I say, yo, you can't go into a certain gym or wherever and just have your hair on not combed or
someone groomed,
slides or pulling up with,
pants hanging down your butt,
all types of, weird
off
designs and T-shirts and stuff like that, going to meet with a coach that eventually could potentially give you a scholarship that's worth $100,000, right? So, all this stuff matters in the way we promote ourselves. It's we have to, and I believe this as well, as black men, we have to make sure that our image, right, or what we promote to the outside world, not because we're trying to assimilate or we're trying to get people to accept us, but we want to have a certain standard in the way we conduct ourselves.
Well, what you saying about sweatshirt? I think I was different. So because I grew up I'm a PK, So if anybody don't know what PK is, a preacher kid, you know. So I had to go to church every day, so all the time, you know. So we wore suits, you know what I'm saying. At that time when I was younger, I didn't want to wear a suit, but when I got to college, it was like when I put on a suit, they like, oh, you look nice. I'm like, oh. Okay, it kind of like light bulb went off. Like,
when you little and you go to church, like, you have your little suit on.
Yeah,
like,
you really didn't want to wear the suit, but everybody think you're so cute. But you know,
they mean like that's the thing is like because like it was associated when you was little as being cute. Like like a man wearing a suit is not cute.
Yeah, but the thing is, when I got to college and when you put on the suit, you dress up. We go to an event or something that's going on campus. You know you see it. Everybody like, oh, y'all looking good. We like, then all of a sudden the guys light bulb hit off like, oh, they like this. You know what I'm saying? Because we was, like I say, when I was in college, I played ball. So 9 times 10, I had shorts on, sweats. Because I'm not getting dressed. I go to class. But then as the year go along in my major, I had to go to class, dress up. We had to start, because I was a business major. So we had to, being a business major, we had to dress up a little bit. You know, so certain classes, our professors like, no, don't come in my class with no sweats on. Yep. So we had to actually look presentable. So, you know, it was a learning lesson, but, you know, every college is not like that. I went to a small HBCU college, but it was just more personal. And I guess when they was telling us that, there's like, when you come in my class, that image, I don't need you coming here looking like you just got out of bed. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So I
used to do that. Yeah. I used to get out of bed and run to class with like a t-shirt on.
But see, the thing is, you at that time you didn't think like, what are they trying to tell us? You know, but as you get older, you start realizing like they was telling us already your image. Don't present yourself. I'm not telling you got to have a 3-piece suit on. You got to wear this all the time, but it's how you present yourself. You know what I'm saying? So it is, like you say, your image is a big thing when it comes to certain things. Like you say, it depends. My image right now, we might be chilling. Like you say, tomorrow, go to church. I got a different image. Go to work Monday. I got a different image. You know what I'm saying? Everything is different. So, but when I was in college, like I say, we grew up different. I had a lot of sweats and everything, but the thing is, when we started going out, like to the clubs, we started wanting to wear suits to the club. And everybody like, why y'all want to get dressed up? Me and a group of guys, we got dressed up. We started wearing suits to the club. And we was loving it because everybody like, oh, y'all sharp. You know what I'm saying? It was serious. You know what I'm saying? It started turning. And now all of a sudden, it started trickling down the line with some other guys. They like, they start calling like, "What y'all wearing?"
But you know, you probably was, you know, female attention too.
Yeah,
well.
that too. Yeah,
motivated.
Yeah. Get some attention.
Yeah, that motivates dudes to clean themselves.
It motivated. It did motivate us to dress different. You know what I'm saying? Because with that attention, you get the female attention. You go in the club. You know, you're young. So you like, oh, and so when you see a couple of guys do that, then all of a sudden now you see other guys starting to dress up, wear a blazer or something like that. They were like, oh, you ain't never wear no blazer in school or none of that. But now you want to wear, you know, because it's that attention. They starting to realize like, okay, that image, this is what certain people like. Or if you get attention from a female, of course, guys, you gonna like, oh, I'm about to get.
I think
we in the mirror, like, okay, I'm feeling myself today.
Yeah, I think it's a beautiful thing. The one area of caution that I had is when I left corporate and decided that I was gonna go and start my own firm. The one thing I wanted was to also try to normalize parts of our culture that had been shunned by the popular. Perspective of, so like 4 days out of the week, you're gonna catch me wearing sneakers. Now I'll pay more for my sneakers than most people pay for their dress shoes, right? But you're gonna catch me wearing sneakers, and because that's part of our culture. Now I might wear them with a sport coat, but you're gonna catch me wearing sneakers. Yeah. You might wear your hat, you know what I'm saying? You're gonna throw it on.
But you still might not wear some sneakers.
Well, you may wear some sneakers, but I guess my point is like you wouldn't wear that walking into Fortune 500 organization because headwear, anything on your head is not acceptable there, right? As part of the culture, it's not acceptable. Even like with sisters wrapping their hair going into the office, like that's shunned upon. Why is that shunned upon? Because that's part of our culture.
Yeah.
So that I think there's a healthy balance. Like I think image is important, and my thing is always, are you put together in a way that shows people that you took the time to put yourself together? Because if you show that you put your time into it, then that should be the image that matters.
Yeah.
Right? You can rock a turtleneck and that works for you. You can rock the hat and that works for you. Or I can rock Nike sneakers and it works for me. Did you put the time into it? And the answer to that is yes, then cool. If the answer is you look like you woke up and rolled out of bed and you're wearing the same thing you wore last night, that's a problem.
That is an issue.
So that is the issue. Like I say, but I think that's when you was taught something when you was little. Like I said, I didn't want to wear no suit to church. I was like, man, I'm tired of wearing a suit. I'm tired of wearing this clip-on tie. But
the clip-on ties.
The clip-on tie. But the older I got,
be honest, you still got that, don't you?
No, I don't have no clip-ons. I don't have. But see, let me tell you, I started learning how to tie at a younger age.
I started learning, but
so,
I had
to,
clip-ons.
otherwise you're gonna wear them square clip-on ties.
Yeah. So when I started learning how to tie a tie,
reason.
I started wearing regular ties, for my, side. But as the older I got, like now, I'm older, you know what I'm saying? And I want to step out sometime, but at the time, I don't want to step out with a hoodie on if I'm going out. Now, if I'm going to a ball game or something like that, that's different. That's different. But if I want to step out with somebody, we going on a date or whatever, I'm not going to want to wear a hoodie. I want to wear something nice now. So, and people are like, you go out all the time? I said, no. But I go out to certain events or certain things, but I want to dress nice.
Yeah.
Because 9 times 10, we always say when you dress nice, ain't nothing gonna happen. Ain't no drama gonna really happen because people got that good stuff all day. They ain't trying to. They
come there in black Air Forces or Timbs.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. But that just the way I kind of, I guess, my lifestyle, my generation. A lot of guys I grew up around. That's what we like to do. We like to dress up to go out. Yeah. A lot of people like, man, I'm tired of wearing dress shoes. I want to wear some tennis shoes to go out. If I wear tennis shoes, I got to get back in my 20s where I'm able to run. Just in case something pop off so I can get out of there.
It's crazy. Like after Trayvon Martin was murdered, I'll say that word. After Trayvon passed, like the notion of the hoodie became a controversial topic because in some aspects of the community, it was seen as a representation of our youth being targeted. Yeah. And then on other sides of the tracks, it was seen as a representation of a thuggish lifestyle. I'll use that word, thuggish lifestyle, beginning to permeate the suburbs in such a way that it becomes, don't blame me for shooting him, blame him for making himself look like a suspect, right? So even after that, I became intentional about wearing hoodies. But the difference was I would wear a hoodie to work with a button up plainly underneath it so you would see the button up, and then with a blazer or a sport coat on top of it. Because it was all about how do I normalize some of it such that you cannot see me and believe that represents what you were trying to perpetuate. So some of it, I mean, honestly, I guess I reached a point in time in my career, too, that it was like, I feel comfortable pushing back on some of the nonsense.
Yeah, I feel
so you have to reach that point. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Because, again, back to image and exposure, like if I didn't feel comfortable about the fact that the exposure that I would receive there would not affect my opportunity to perform, then I wouldn't have done it. But I started doing stuff like that. Just because we could.
Yeah, and I agree. I don't mind. Hey, push back. Sometimes we got to start pushing back. You know what I'm saying? All of us can't push back because everybody don't have it in them. But sometimes you got to start pushing back like, hey, because he had a hoodie on, do you think I'm a thug? So if I come to work with a hoodie on, I'm a thug?
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? So, you got to start pushing back a little bit so people, you just got to make them aware. Some people they don't see it. Some don't want to see it, you know what I'm saying, because they want to keep them blinders on. But sometimes you got to do that.
Well, I think the more and more we get in positions of being able to influence influence the opportunities that others have, we have to take advantage of that. And like my wife, she works for a major pharmaceutical company, and they hired a man who, a black male, to come and lead part of their North American operations. And he's like now the highest ranking black man in this multinational corp. And she was sharing with me the way that he presented himself when he introduced himself to the entire employee base. And part of it was he went to Xavier, so he had his HBCU profile.
In New Orleans.
Yeah, so he was like, yes. So everything was about New Orleans. He was like, I love HBCU football. He showed a Grambling game. He showed himself in his hoodie. Like everything was about who he was, his family was, and so on. But he reached that point. And I guess part of my point is when we reach that point, we got to remember to say, nah, it's time for us to
you got to remember who you are.
And not just that, but to call people out and say, it's okay. Because if you would have seen me like this, you would have judged me. But now you can't judge me because I made it.
Yeah.
And I agree.
No, that's a good, segue into what another thing I want to talk about in regards to like the image of the black man, right? So like as black men, we're talking specifically in America, right? Or in this country, as far as like the, target on our back, if you're just going to be honest, right? About the, even the hypersexualization of black women, but also black men as well, right? Seeing, even the first movie that was ever shown in the White House was Birth of a Nation. It was centered around hyper predatorial, hypersexualized black man who was, basically needed to be killed or hung or lynched because he was going to rape all the white women, right? So
Say that again? That was the first
movie shown in the White House. It was 19. Really? Yeah. Birth of a Nation.
I missed that completely.
Yeah. The original, because Birth of a Nation with what's the brother Nate Parker, right? So that
you're talking about the original.
The original
was the first movie
shown in the White House, motion picture shown in the White House, right? So just that like idea as far as black men, the stigma of black men on a consistent basis, even in the media, like you hear stuff like trigger words, right? As far as like, law and order, like you automatically associate that where like, yo, we're coming to the hood to lock up all you black folk. You know what I mean? Just stuff like that. Oh, you black men, like the mass incarceration, right? Or if you just turn on like, BET and you watch a bunch of music videos, you'll see it and, and you won't, and that's normal. Like, it's normal for black men to be anything other than human, if that makes sense.
I'm not saying it's normal. It's just normal for them to show it on TV.
It's
normalized.
It's civilized. Yeah.
It's what people are watching and consuming, and when you have the demographic that is being presented.
I get what you're saying.
Reenacting
and
the behavior, yes.
On top of that,
it is normal.
On top of that, they don't give us the right to actually go act like what we've been showing too.
Yeah, that's the thing.
That's another thing. That's another thing where, cause you see something, don't mean that's how we really gotta act. Cause you see on a movie, this is image. Some movies, like you say, you could think about South Central, Boys in Hill. Some of that, it was not saying true, but that's probably how some of the stuff was in the hood or in the neighborhoods, whatever. But does that mean that we have to act that way?
But and we don't own those. But the thing is that we don't own any of those companies, though. We don't own MGM. We don't own Disney. We don't. I mean, they got a few black writers and a few black actors and people like that.
No, we don't own them, but that's they. It's the thing is they the one that's gonna pay the money. That's why people make certain movies. You know what I'm saying? Like it's the mighty dollar a lot of times talk.
I will say this. I said like during the neo soul era, for example, right? Mm-hmm. Or even during the conscious hip hop era, that's when the most records were sold.
Yeah, I agree.
So it's not a thing. It's literally a thing of this, man. Like, we don't control those apparatuses in most cases, right? We don't control them, right? And the images that are promoted to us about who we are supposed to be or what we are, right, allegedly, do not come from our community. And that's
True.
the biggest problem. Because, like, yeah, we could put on, like, we could have a different, like, a lot of, respect to a lot of different people who work in Hollywood and stuff like that. But at the same time, like, they don't write those checks, right? And there's certain checks get written and don't get written based on the kind of content that the people who actually control those, production companies or broadcasting companies, they want to have promoted.
But the thing is, we could have all these companies. One of the main reasons why we don't have a lot of these companies, not because we all sold out or whatever, it's because we didn't want to support our own. I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be 100. We have a problem of supporting our own. But when soon as something happened, we all want to support. But how long that lasts? It lasts about a month, 2. Then all of a sudden we go back to doing our normal thing. We have a problem of supporting our own, and that's why everybody always complain like, why we don't have this, we don't have that. How many of y'all gonna support it? That's the question. How many of y'all gonna actually support it in the long run? We always, because it's like you say, social media nowadays is ruining a lot of things, but you have a lot of people that's starting to produce things that we starting to support more. I think now some of us are starting to wake up.
Yeah, more and more people are.
Only reason I say I give props to when you look back when Spike Lee made the movie School Days. At the end of the movie, when Fishburne them said, "Wake up." Actually, what he was talking about, black folks, we need to wake up and open our eyes. And a lot of times we don't see it. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people don't look. I look back at stuff like that. I'm like, man, that was an old movie back in the 80s. But when you think about it, he was talking about it then. We still
need to wake up.
We still ain't woke up yet. And you know what I'm saying? It's things like that I tell people. I like some of y'all young people, go look at them old movies sometimes, because a lot of them old movies was talking about things that's going on right now. It's telling us to wake up about now, because we still ain't woke. A lot of us are still asleep. You know what I'm saying?
You look at like individuals like, Malcolm X, right? Or even watch Dr. King's speeches, not I Have a Dream, because like they've bastardized his legacy so much to the point like I don't even like celebrating the day.
Well, I don't even
it's gotten to the point where I'm so like.
Do you know that Have a Dream speech was written? It was not written.
It wasn't even written by him.
No. It really wasn't written. He actually had a speech written out, and he changed it because something came to him. It wasn't. He had a whole different speech. People don't realize. People don't know that he had a whole different speech. He didn't have a dream speech. Mm-hmm. It changed after everything. I think is it Mahalia Jackson or somebody? I can't remember.
So, I remember hearing that story.
He changed. It all changed because he had a speech written out. But see, a lot of people don't know that.
Yeah, I heard. A lot of people. I Have a Dream part was actually something that he didn't even actually like write himself, or somebody helped him or aided him. It
was something brought to him.
Somebody
brought something to him, and at first he kind of brushed it off. He ain't brush it off, but it kind of but then he had a speech. He already had something he wanted to talk about, but it was something that happened while it was going through the program, right. That it triggered.
Yeah,
and he had to go back
and even still, right. His legacy is not just that speech, because if you listen to or watch or listen to a bunch of his other speeches, he talked about a lot of other different things that were literally things that you could basically like he prophesied in a way or in a sense of what you're actually seeing going on today. Yeah. He talked about, the white moderate. He talked about how if the black church did not do what they were supposed to do, that it would be basically turned into a social club, right? Which it is now, basically at this point. A lot of black churches are social clubs. So, you know, these type of different things like that. But if you look at like these individuals, the fearlessness that they had, and also the ability to foresee what was going to happen, you know, I'm not sure if we have many people like that around today. You know what I mean? And we don't have like those images because like, and you won't ever see this happen again. The media at the time made a mistake by putting microphones and cameras in front of those men, because that was the one thing they should not have done, because it gave them a platform to be able to spread their message further. The one thing that they should have, they did, and they will never do it again. They'll never make that mistake again, because they knew how much they influenced the masses. But you remember during that time, they put microphones, cameras in front of Fred Hampton and Huey Newton, and put cameras and microphones in front of MLK and
lot
Kwame
of leaders back
and
then.
Medgar Evers. They put cameras and microphones
and they
in
realized
front of these people.
they realized, even Farrakhan, I give him
give him credit for
a lot of things, because they knew they didn't realize how big an influence it was, you know, at that time. But now you have a lot of leaders that's out there. They don't want to put that camera in front of them because they are such a big influence. It's like you say, it's that image. They have that image that everybody just draw to them, because they have that image that everybody is just automatic cleanse to.
But that's almost and this is getting way off topic, but that's almost the notion of a leader which gives a voice to the voices. Like it happened to us in the 60s.
Mm-hmm.
And most recently it happened over the course of the period from I guess that would be 2016 to 2020, from the Trump administration. Like the reality is his success, and look, there's no need for us to debate it. We can bring on others and debate the merits of his character, and more importantly, the merits of his political stature. But the reality is, the only reason that we're still talking about this man today and all of his asinineness is because of the fact that he gave voice to someone who did not. Look at that. See the hand of God hand of God came, put that mic right there. I see it. But he gave voice to the voiceless. And you're right. We say they'll never do that again. They did it again. They did it with someone who didn't look like us, though.
Yeah,
they did it with him,
because the thing is
he forced himself into it, and it was an easier proposition to give him voice.
Well, I'll say the reason why is because what he represents at the same time, and what most politicians represent, is not a change to the status quo. Maybe it's a different,
the mighty dollar.
Yeah, it wasn't a change. Like those
self-sufficiency
men,
is
like,
what it is.
Yeah.
Because like those men, like, you know, like the Malcolm X's of the world and the MLKs of the world and Fred Hamptons of the world and people like that, they were advocating for a change to the status quo.
Correct.
A complete shift of every single fiber of society being shifted and being corrected from what was instituted when this country was, you know, you call it started.
Foundationally established.
Yeah, foundationally established, right? So regardless of how crazy people think Trump was or Trump is, he still was not crazy enough to rattle what the foundations of this country are and what they are about.
It's funny you say that, because I think I would disagree.
I think
I
so
do
too.
think I would disagree. I think the reality was he found that we were in a unique, and this is definitely way off topic, so we can talk about this on the podcast.
But I mean,
but I think
we're chopping it up.
My quick synopsis would be he found that there was a unique opportunity of vulnerability that existed in our society that allowed him to penetrate that. And for someone who is narcissistic like him, it's all about identifying the greatest area of weakness and capitalizing upon it. And I feel like that is what he saw that existed in the last, call it 7 years of our existence as a nation. And he capitalized upon the notion of reframing the status quo such that the status quo itself was minimized, Like, if you think about it, if nothing else, the most recent election that we just had in 2020 positioned the fact that the status quo was reestablishing that it was itself. It was, in fact, the status quo. It was, in fact, a nation that was built upon basic principles, and of those principles were a compassion for each other, the notion of melting pot, all those things that Trump was not.
But you believe that the country was established on those premises?
No, I believe that the country's notion of who it was established on those premises. In other words, it would want to back to image. So now let's bring it.
Oh, like the image that America promotes. Yes,
correct.
Yes, that is true.
Correct.
I agree with that.
So we got tons of issues, and people outside of the nation now know it, right?
Yeah.
I would definitely argue that less people knew it in 15, 16 than people who knew it in 2020, 21.
Yeah.
I agree. I agree because they realized when they start seeing.
It's always been a thing though, because like countries don't like America, and they haven't liked America for a long time, and it's part of it is because of our hypocrisy.
But a lot of countries don't like us. But a lot of people love us because they feel like
they love the citizenry.
They love where they could come and be free and do a lot of different things.
They love the people. They love more so the experience. But the country, as far as like the havoc that
some of the government situations they don't like. I agree with that.
You can name and we can rattle off, and we'll be here for a long time. But the thing is, and I don't mind it being off topic, but I think that's good. Because this is,
it's life.
Yeah, this is facts, right? We're talking about.
But no, I think what it is, a lot of people, well, it depends on what country they come from.
Yeah, it depends. Depends on what country.
Yeah, it depends on what country they come from.
What color or the majority of the folks that come from there.
You have I'm going to look at this the way. In some of the African countries, they love to come here because they have more freedom. They have they can make more money. They can provide for their family. More opportunity. They got a lot of different things compared to some other countries. Like I'm not gonna name none of the countries, but you got other countries that they look at us like y'all behind time. You know what I'm saying? They might think we behind time, but we don't think we behind time. But they like y'all behind time. We've been had this, or y'all think y'all better than us, or y'all. You know what I'm saying?
There's a lot of that. Yeah, I think my thing is the biggest difference is that up until January 6, 2021, we never exposed ourselves. But on that day, we exposed ourselves to the rest of the world.
I agree.
And when I say we never, I really mean in this generation. I really mean in the 100 years preceding.
You never seen somebody
never exposed ourselves. We're pretty protective of as a nation. We're pretty protective of our.
We never expose ourselves as so divided as a country.
And I say 100 years. It's more like.
But trust me, I agree with you saying we always been. It's been some division for a long time in the country.
But the thing is, there's also more cameras now than ever. That's
certainly.
That's what I'm saying.
That's
so
really what it is. I don't know if it's the thing that we haven't exposed ourselves because, like, you got riots, nonstop riots. You got 100%. Civil war.
But I agree with what Ryan's saying. The country, the whole world saw that. Wow, they are more divided than we thought they were. That I think January the 6th, that made it seem that we was more divided than realized, and they like, oh.
But I think it ties back into the original thing we're talking about social media and the access to information. True. Is that like it's not that we weren't or showed more. It just is there's more access to information.
True.
So all the things that imagine if they had cameras during the LA riots.
Imagine they had cameras when I was coming.
Imagine if they had cameras during imagine they had cameras during the crack epidemic. Like everybody had cameras, like cell phone.
We understand.
You know what I'm saying?
And different time. That's the same thing. Like prime example, you think back when our parents, their generation, they say, imagine if we had this when we was coming up, you know what I'm saying, a lot of things y'all have, and then we say the same thing to the millennials. You know what I'm saying?
I'm saying is that, like, yeah, I get what y'all are saying. What I'm saying is, I'm saying a lot, right? But what we're trying.
I'm sorry, he ain't drink that much tonight. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I didn't even have anything in there. But what we're trying to, I guess what I'm trying to say here is that the reason why it may seem like we've kind of showed our ass is because we can show our ass. Because
yeah, but see, nowadays, like you say, the things you could get away back in the 90s.
Yeah, and NBC can't filter it. NBC can't filter it. ABC and Fox can't filter it because they're the only ones out there with cameras. Yeah. Everyone's got one now.
Yeah, and like fair. You say, the things that people got away with in the 90s, especially during the riot time, or unless they had a helicopter videoing, or the camera crews out there, the things they got away with back in the 90s, you would not get away with now because everybody has a cell phone now. So everybody can record. Most 90% people probably have social media. I'm not going to say everybody has social media because I know a lot of people still don't. But the thing is, you can't, a lot of things, that's why I tell people, like, some of the things you do, everybody can see now. And that's why I guess when it comes to us coaching or talking to young people about the image, we like, think about everything you putting out there. Everybody can see what you're doing now. College coaches could pull you up and see what you're doing.
Some kids said that a coach took away his scholarship because his mom was twerking and shaking ass on Instagram.
Oh, wow.
Look, wow. Like the scary thing is not that everybody can see it. The scary thing is that the internet has infinite memory.
Yeah, like even if you delete something, like
it's still out there.
Somebody can record it. They could pull up. Somebody could pull that joint up. It's like
infinite memory.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Now you could say, "Oh, I deleted all them pictures." It's somewhere. Somebody could put. Well, put it like this: dealing with IT, some in the military, and then outside the military, dealing with IT. I realized a lot of people, you could pull out a lot of stuff that you think that's deleted. It's still there. Yeah. Think about, I'm going to bring this up, the messages that Costa got fired from L.A. Gruden. All them emails and things like that came out. I don't, but nobody thought nothing about it. But they thought it was gone. But guess what? They pulled up all these images and stuff like that and went way back to 2000 whatever and found all these old emails. So I tell people now, be careful what you do. Even if you're successful, be careful what you do because guess what? Somebody's going to target you trying to bring you down. If you have a successful business, somebody's going to try to target you, bring you down because you always got somebody hating. You're going to have haters out there. You're going to have people that's against you. You're going to have even your own kind. I always tell people, it don't matter who it is. It could be your best friend. It could be even your family. You got a lot of people that's going to bring you down. So you got to be careful what you put out there. So your image, if it's, you know what I'm saying? That's why you see a lot of people don't see a lot of things about a lot of famous athletes or certain athletes that's out there. But like, we ain't never heard nothing about him. Because guess what? He protected himself. He didn't put certain things. Whatever he did behind closed doors was behind closed doors.
You say a lot about LeBron James.
Yes, sir.
And you can talk a lot about him.
Yeah.
But the one thing that you can't say is that he's ever been caught up in any type of scandalous.
He's been mighty close, but
he been close. It been even. I can say one scam that I think in Mississippi because they felt like he left the kids hanging in. Mo Williams had a camp down there. Something happened, but you don't. Sometimes you get half the story. You don't get the whole story. But
to where it's like complete image.
It was on news.
No,
it's not Kobe in Denver.
Yeah. It's not a Kobe in Denver situation. It's not a alleged Michael Jordan
with the gambling situation. Charles Barkley. He had pretty. I say he had a pretty clean image.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying.
That's one thing I can respect that. I don't know. Obviously, we don't know. We don't know.
But the same thing. Even with the Kobe in Denver. But after that situation, guess what? you didn't hear nothing else because he realized I'm being watched. That's why I look at it.
I think from
how old was he? 20.
He was young. He was a young guy.
Yeah. I think he had then an awareness, like it was a wake up call for him. Which is why I think in the end
that's why he bought that ring.
Respected Kobe a lot more. Like I respected Kobe a lot more off the court at the end of his career.
I did too.
On the court, like, I like watching him, and I like seeing him put up 60x, and you know what I'm saying. I like seeing him talk a little bit of trash to whomever. Like, but the reality is, what that Joker was doing off the court was far more powerful. But that was because he had a keen awareness based off of his experience in Colorado.
Yeah,
but I'm glad it didn't take like the crazy thing about LeBron. I love how we end up taking all these tangents to great conversations. The crazy thing about LeBron is, who would you suggest? And I want to hear honest answers here because there are a few people I would bring up. Who would you suggest had a greater predictive spotlight on their career at an early age? Who else across sports?
Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson. That's a good one. That's a good one.
About it.
Who else was the world expecting to do great?
To that extent.
They expected to do great coming young.
That young, 16, 17 years old.
I've got a few.
Because they said he was going to. Because the thing is that they said they tried to get him drafted when he was a junior.
Yes, when he was a junior.
Not a senior. They were talking
about. I don't know too many people besides probably the closest thing. I don't think they expect Kobe to be great, but they knew he was going to be great. You know, I didn't think they had expectations. I think only person I think like Jermaine O'Neal. I think when he came out of South, he was all right. He wasn't no superstar, but
I'm talking about like transcendent. Like for me, I look at Tiger Woods, and until now, Tiger, if he never blew up, like the whole marriage thing didn't explode, all the Denny's girlfriends and all the craziness. The fact of the matter is, if he stopped and retired a week before all that nonsense blew up, he would have still been probably one of the greatest that ever played. So I look at him going from Johnny Carson at 6 years old all the way to that with all those pressures, and I say he's a transcendent athlete. Yeah. But besides that, it's like LeBron, like even MJ, like nobody expected MJ to be the greatest.
Well, he had to go to college first, you know. So
the zenith, that Michael Jordan elevated himself to. But you know, as far as just people in general, with like at that young of an age, LeBron 16, 17 years old, having those type of expectations.
One thing, I this is the only good credit I got to give to the era when LeBron was coming up. He had a lot of more exposure compared to a lot of other guys too. So that kind of benefit him.
Well, there's LeBron, and then there's also, well, I said Tiger, but also I think the Williams sisters are important. Like nobody expected Serena to be the one.
Everybody knew Venus. Everybody like Venus. But at
Richard
the time,
Williams also told us the one that would beat Venus would be Serena. He
but
told us that
Venus was the dominant one. At the early age,
older,
she was older and everything. But as Serena got older, I think it was like that.
Because the thing is, like, you learn if you're the younger one, and then you're around all that, and you're seeing kind of like certain things where maybe certain precautions or certain areas were not wrapped up that could have been, and you see that I know when I get into that situation, that's not going to happen to me, or I'm going to be prepared for it. So that was really what it was like. Venus was like I ain't going to use test dummy. I say the trial.
A trailblazer.
She was the trial. Yeah, she was the trailblazer.
Usually, if you look at some families, a lot of times it depends. If the older brother or sister or someone, the elderly, was successful, look at Reggie Miller and his sister.
She
was a beast. She was better than him, but Reggie ended up being a better player. Yeah. Not a better player, but he ended up being successful due to the fact because his sister was beating him up on the court, but he had to learn. You know what I'm saying? So it's
I don't know, Dwayne. I think that example is only because WNBA.
There was no WNBA.
Well, yeah, I agree with you. If they was a WNBA, I think she would probably be one of the best female athletes ever.
I think
you know what I'm saying?
She's still the best one out of the family.
But would Reggie be who Reggie was if it wasn't for her?
wouldn't have beat the Knicks. He wouldn't have gave Spike all that hard.
Yeah, we got New York. We got New Yorkers in here. Yeah.
he wouldn't have gave Spike the choke.
Look,
Yo,
y'all
every time I even hear that,
and clean shoes, I figure if y'all came in with Tim's, I wouldn't have said
that. Even when you say that, like that joint, like does something to me. In my stomach. When I hear that.
But you got to give. I hate to say, you give credit where credit's due. You know, he did that. He didn't crack under pressure. He knew, everybody knew Reggie. Going into Madison Square Garden, every athlete wants to play in Madison Square Garden. I'm going to be honest with you. Every athlete, basketball athlete wants to play in Madison Square Garden because it's just something about Madison Square Garden. It just have that tradition.
Apparently not Duke tonight, by the way.
Oh, no.
Got lost. Got beat by Virginia Tech.
Well, it's been we ain't gonna talk about some up. It's been some upsets. It's been a lot of upsets right now, so we ain't gonna talk about.
But to answer your original question in regards to any athlete being that young and that level of expectation,
I can't think of nobody else.
Nah, Michael Jackson. Michael
Jackson's probably the only one because he started.
But the crazy thing is, even when
Michael Jackson, like he's Michael Jackson is the zenith of entertainment.
Yeah, but even then,
and he was
the closer and closer he got to the point of to his point of zenith, the more and more exposure to the what was in the shadows came up.
Yeah,
LeBron somehow has figured out how to insulate himself in such a way.
He probably has limited vices too, as well, man.
But you know what? That goes.
Maybe.
But you know
Maybe.
what? But you know what? That goes back to one of our podcasts. It's about sometimes who you got around you.
Yeah.
Well, that's definitely
he's
true.
got. Yeah, he's got.
It's about sometimes who you got around you. You know what I'm saying?
For real.
Yeah. So when you got certain people around you, sometimes, hey, it balances you out. You know. Now, I feel like he had such a humble surrounding that. He wasn't one of the ones that the first thing he was. I don't know if he went out and splurged. He could have, you know, coming in as an 18-year-old. He could have. We don't know.
But when he had that much money, I mean,
you know. But at the same time, but at the same time, he wasn't out there where you saw it. You know, like some of the athletes you see, they always get in trouble because they out there on the boat. They got their boat party all the time. And, you know, I'm not going to call no names, but, you know, you got certain athletes that's out there on their boat party, or you got athletes that's buying all these yachts, then they get repoed after a certain period of time, don't realize, hey, you didn't invest in your money, so you ain't got that same income coming in.
He probably had, but, you know, he probably had good people or has good people around him. He probably saw where other guys slipped up in the past. Because
you live and learn. You got to live and learn. Oh, my bad.
Also, you don't see that as much anymore with athletes to the extent of what they used to do as far as like the ridiculous amounts of spending.
And that's why I believe they should have a financial literacy class.
They do.
You know, but I feel they, at one point in time they didn't have it. I feel like they need to put more emphasis on financial literacy when it comes to young guys coming into any professional sports, or, you know, because they need to understand this money is not going to last forever.
Yeah, it's one of the things I was listening to. So I guess it was this past week, honestly. I was listening to two podcasts this past week. One, Jay Williams just started a new podcast. I don't know if you've heard it. It's on the PBS Podcast Network.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So a good listen. But I can't remember the name of it, so forgive me. But nonetheless, he had Maverick Carter on there.
Mm-hmm.
And the reality is, like, the clique that's around LeBron, somehow between Maverick and Rich Paul and continue around the way, like his partner who's his manager now, I can't remember his name.
Ooh, that
there's
reminds me
four of them. And the reality is that they weren't just there to hide in the shadows and not make no noise. Like, each of those jokers somehow was driven towards what was going to be important for them to be the necessary cog in the LeBron James wheel. Mm-hmm. Like, they saw stardom. Everybody saw stardom. Now the whole point was, okay, how can I hold down my position? Yes. which is not riding on LeBron's coattails. This is all about how can I complement what he's doing on the court
so you could
in my own certain way. So do I need to go take internships at Nike, or do I need to go and do XYZ so that I can become what's important to complement what LeBron's doing? Which is powerful and important. And the reason it is because now it's not about you got a posse or a crew that's rolling behind you and all they're doing is protecting you. Now it's about each dude saying, yo, I ain't 6'8", but I'm going to figure out how to contribute in a meaningful way to you, such as you need me around you and I need you around me. Yeah. Now it becomes mutually not inclusive, but mutually important that we coexist. We exist together. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the important thing about that LeBron crew, because that's the first time we've seen that.
Yeah, I respect him reaching out to his people that he played ball with, people that he knew when he was in school, and all of them got jobs with him. And I respect that because
it's not even their job. Like they got their own.
They got their own thing.
But the thing is, they got their own thing. But at the same time, it's like we're gonna start here, but you got to go further. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna start you here, but I'm not saying he did that. But I'm just saying he reached out to people that knew him before he was.
It looks like, from what it looks, it looked like they had kind of some foresight in regards to, because when you're friends with folks, you talk about certain dreams and aspirations you have. Like, and probably some of the stuff that he talked about doing outside of basketball probably triggered them to look into the stuff and figure some of this stuff out on their own. Because, how much is LeBron going to be doing investigating, like film production and, doing all that stuff that he's doing now, or schools or all these different charities and different business endeavors? Mm-hmm. You're on the court. That dude spends $2 million on his body every year. You think he's freaking,
he got to focus on getting Westbrook shot.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he got to focus on getting Westbrook hot. But you know what I'm saying? But like, his friends probably were like, yo, well, let me look into this stuff. Like, because, like, as when you talk to your friends about your goals and dreams and aspirations that you have outside of the court or wherever, or whatever field that you're, striving to be excellent in, you talk about these different things. They were probably like, all right, let me go ahead and, like you said, maybe intern at Nike, or let me go talk to this, film producer, or talk to this and get information.
ING or whatever, yeah, man. Because the only cat that really is, and I'm not going to call him a leech or anything, the only one that's really, really tied to LeBron and LeBron's impact on the court is Randy Mims, because that's his manager. Mm-hmm. So LeBron retires tomorrow, like everything is dependent upon what LeBron does. But what Maverick Carter's doing and what Rich Paul's doing, like, those jokers they took the opportunity through the exposure that LeBron got them to now gain their own foothold into what's critical. And LeBron and this is the crazy thing, LeBron needs them as much as they need LeBron. When else can you say that from the perspective of a crew that surrounds an athlete? You can't say that.
Because what I look at it like this, like you say, he gave them the exposure. Once he got them started, now it's like, y'all, I need y'all just as much as y'all need me. So we need each other now. It's not.
That's right.
I got y'all started, but at the same time, now y'all got to the point where we need each other.
And they looking at him the same way. Like, yo, I got this film company started, Maverick. I got this film company started. Okay, so what? You mad at me? Guess what?
Yeah.
The film company is going to shut down without me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, that is a power position that we haven't seen that often. So
now I give props to I know y'all probably seen it with Kyrie.
Oh yeah, with the
stepmother. He's made his stepmother.
Oh, that's right. His agent. Yeah.
Agent. First black female agent of an NBA player.
I saw the investments that he had. Like,
that's right, $80 million.
He made. But important. he's people don't talk about certain things like that. He made his stepmother the first black female
agent.
Yeah, I didn't
agent
know
of an NBA player.
That's dope.
That's
really
making big, but that's opened up doors so people like, hey, anybody could be an agent.
But the thing is, like, when you get to a certain level, like you were mentioning earlier, is that, like, you should strive to, like,
make a change,
do something that is impactful, that is lasting, as far as the impactfulness of what it is. Like, you should always, like, when hopefully when I get to a certain point in my career, coaching wise, or even just with this podcast, that we're able to do something that has a lasting effect for not years, but for decades, for, that to where people can, look back and say, like, yeah, like, that was done the right way. That made a difference. Like, people's lives were changed. People's lives were affected. Because what I said yesterday, Dwayne, I said, like, you aren't a competent black male if you cannot improve the life of people around you. If you are unable to improve the lives of people around you, you're not fulfilling your manhood.
Yeah.
Regardless of your children, regardless of your friends, your family, whoever it is, your wife, you have to be able to bring people up with you. And, yeah.
That's the same thing I said. We never lose. You know what I'm saying? What I was talking about yesterday, I said something about
you only lose if you don't learn.
Yes. You don't never lose, you learn.
Right.
You don't everybody you don't never
win or learn, right?
Yeah, you win or learn. You know what I'm saying? So that's the same thing we talked about, like I see a quote by top of my head, I can't think of it. Make me want to have to look it up. But Nelson Mandela was talking about living life, about living. Like, when you fail, it don't matter. I'm not gonna quote word for word, but Nelson Mandela was saying something about living your life and you fail. It don't matter how you fail, but it's a matter about if you're getting back up. It's not word for word, but it's somewhere around there about him saying, but you got to get back up. He said that's what determines how successful you are. It's not how many times you fail. It's about getting back up. And that's right. Being as men, being the image, you gonna fail a lot. But it's all about getting back up. If you ever don't get back up, then you fail.
Yeah. That's dope, man. Wrap it up, man. Y'all got any closing remarks, man? Before
you want me to give you a quote? I give you a quote real quick.
You go ahead. You can do yours first, bro.
Oh, shoot. Matter of fact, think about it. Maya Angelou. I like that. I love Maya Angelou. I'm sorry. This is a quote. She said, you face many defeats in life, but never let yourself be defeated.
I like that. I had one.
Go ahead. You can get one out.
A man can make what he wants of himself if he truly believes that he must be ready for hard work and many heartbreaks.
Yeah.
That's
put them together. Think about it. You put them both together, they go simultaneously.
Like,
boom.
And that's the thing we were saying is, like, you don't, like, you take losses in life. We all take losses in life, but you learn from them. If you don't learn from them, that's when they really truly become losses, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, brother. So
it's been real.
You look at us. So you got
something right over there. Go ahead.
Great theologian once said, "Drop it like it's hot." No, I'm just playing. I did look it up to make sure I was not lying earlier. The gentleman's name was Harvey Coleman. It was the Pi model. He was an ex-IBM associate or leader. And he said, basically, he asserted that a career success is based on 3 key elements: performance, image, and exposure. Performance, this is about day-to-day work you've been tasked. Image, this is about what other people think of you. And exposure is about what they are allowed to experience in you.
Yeah, so you're right. You was on it, though.
That's good, man.
Yeah.
And drop it like that.
Hey, drop it.
Drop the mic. Now, appreciate y'all fellas being on, man. This was a good episode. A lot of like, subtopics within the topic, I guess. But it was good, man. So pleasure. Appreciate y'all, man. And good night. Well, to y'all. And good morning or good evening or good afternoon to whoever's listening to, whenever they listening to us.
Yeah.
And
one love.
Peace out, y'all.